But always the challenge when you're playing with seasons is what's the income? When's the income? And if you're limited to income pretty much at one point in the year, then you're going to have to figure out something for the rest of the year. Especially if if your setup is costing you money. Our setup's costing us money. Only a couple of hundred plus, it's about 500 a month at the moment with the building maintenance and the loan payments. But once the loan's paid off, that goes away. But we're still we're losing £200 a day. Probably 600 a month. Because for the most part, if there is a charge for having something, then that charge is averaged out. It's basically a monthly charge, and if you play more months per day, then I still haven't got that width set right. But yeah, if you pay more months per day, then you pay lower cost per day, but it multiplies out to cost per month. Anyway, it's a very misty morning. The Misty Mountains. That's graphics on this are very nice. Oh, I could probably put the arms down. How about that? Yay. So, we'll actually be able to see how many bales we're making now because they're hours. $20 so far. Okay. Thinking maybe we do this. And possibly drop the cruise down to about 8. That should give our Massey Ferguson, he's running at 10, but he has to stop every so often, so kind of think we run at 8. His stops will even out, average out. But again, if you're creating a 15-meter wide windrow, then he stops more often. You have to go slower. I remember when we were running mowing trains back in 17, occasionally I would have to drop the tractor speed down to 4 miles an hour on the mower, just so that the baler and the wrapper could keep up. So doing it running at a slightly slower speed, he's not going to get lost, which is a big risk. He might catch up to us, in which case we can speed up. But 8 miles an hour looks to be about right, I would guess. But yeah, and actually back in 17, it was sort of, we'd get 2 maximum yield mows and a 66%. And so the maximum yields we would have to run at about 4 miles an hour, and the 66% we could actually run a little bit quicker. And that was the difference between mowing once every 3 months and, the last mow there's only 2 months since the previous one. You can mow early, but the yield is a little bit less. And we were doing everything we could to maximize the yield. We were making, I think the big yields were about 230, 40 bales, and then the 66% was still about 150 to 180 depending. But yeah, it's sort of, you are making so much grass, and there really wasn't a way to do it quicker as a train, and the hold up was in the wrapping for the most part. We were doing square wrapping. Obviously, when the times we wanted hay, we could go a lot quicker because the limit was the baler, and the baler wasn't really limited with the amount of grass we were cutting. And a lot of the time, I'm getting to this point, and it's sort of, I've got to wait for the train to go past before I can turn around, and so that was a controlling factor as well. I think we're doing okay. I think we might be slightly outrunning the baler, but not significantly. We got one more one more row to go, and then we're done rowing. I think, as I said, I am having a slight issue with the working width and the visual working width on this. But for the most part, I think the rows it's producing is adequate for our equipment. So all is good for the moment. And yes, at the point where we are in the market for a larger mowing system, I will definitely be looking at a mower that can row its own stuff. So we're not, the only time we're going to be rowing is when we're making hay. Silage will be cut in rows, or the grass will be cut in rows. Okay. And this row appears to be working fine. I don't know. It's all strange and weird. And then because of the boost we get from contract baling contract yields, I don't actually have to produce any hay from my fields at this time. As we saw, I ended up with close to 48 excess bales in 7 contracts. And that'll keep the cows happy for a long time. So I think when we start running out of hay, it will probably stick to contracts and do a bunch of hay contracts, use the excess to feed the cows. As far as silage goes, we will use our silage bales, but obviously as and when we need to. And we're producing way more than we need to. So I am more inclined to send the worker home. There we go. I'm more inclined then to always produce silage from our fields. However, we will be selling, a good 80% of it, I would guess, at least for now. Eventually, as the cow population increases, we may end up getting to the point where we're barely producing enough grass. But not right now. I don't even know how much feed our cows are eating at the moment. Because we've only got 15. That's another thing I could do. I could buy 40,000 pounds of cows. And keep increasing that. The other thing I think we will need to do sooner rather than later is avail ourselves of a milk wagon of some description. I don't think we've got much in the way of milk at the moment. Straw slurry milk. Yeah, we've got 4,000 litres of milk. So we might need to do something about that sooner rather than later. As with anything, we don't actually have to worry about getting all of the grass off the field, truth be told, and that's because it doesn't rot, so it'll still be here when we mow this field next time. But it just bugs me, so I'm mostly going to pick up what I can. Okay, I think this row goes a significant distance down the field. I think since we've done the hay contracts, I'm expecting another contract in field 53, which is the one at the top that we can see from here. Last time it was silage, it may be silage again, but I will probably avail myself of that just because it's good income. And it should occur around about the same time as our field 52. So that we may end up doing a double. Any baling contracts I do in general will probably do as silage just because they pay better when you consider the bonus material sale. I think there's also a pair of maybe not. I thought there were a couple of arable fields across the road from us that needed harvesting, regular harvester. And they were either 2 wheat fields or 2 barley fields. And it did cross my mind I could rent a harvester and go and do those. Or I could borrow their equipment and go and do those. But I'm not sure. One of them may have either been harvested by the owner or might have withered, which would be unfortunate. It's October, so yeah, that's potential. So we've got an additional bale out of this. Couple of strands there, and then we're all done. Since we've now got weights on the Massey, I'd probably do the bale collecting with that. Alrighty, done. Off. Raise the doodad and take this back to the yard. And also, obviously, the Massey is cheaper to run than the Deutz, so it's got that going for it as well. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. That one. And again, I might look at editing some of the sheds on this farm, taking some of them down and replacing them with sheds with doors. Because the only shed with doors we've got at the moment is the maintenance shop. And there's only really room for one tractor in that. Okay, you're all done. Let's go grab the spike. Which was somewhere there. Yes, a little bit further. Also want that one on the back. Or I just want to drop the that off. There we go. Now we have a spike on the front and back. Still getting used to, you must select the vehicle if you want to attach something to it. You can't have something else selected because it'll try and detach it. So, one more hay bale to give to the cows. And this is, I'm going to try this out and see if we can actually lift a bale without assistance. This is 9,000 litres, so seem to be behaving quite well. I think the wheel weights are sufficient. So that bodes well. This tractor is now ideally set up for what we need it to do on the farm, at least for the near future. This needs to go in the first bay, and we just missed. Oh, and the other thing I did notice was, since we gave straw to the cows, we have manure. So yay for that. We're gonna need a bucket to move the manure with, but obviously the plan is now we can stop using solid fertilizer in the garden and switch to manure and seed and water production. So that'll reduce the cost of producing carrots. Does it? Yeah, it does reduce the cost because we make our own straw, and that just means the cows make manure. So that's all good. I think so. Right now, this can go back in the shed where the other one was, and this one will park better. Because folded, it's not nearly as wide as the other rake that we had. Yeah, that's still not easy to maneuver. Okay. Should now. Slot in there quite nicely. Drop that off. I think we'll wash this now and park it up in the maintenance shop. So yeah, as far as sheds go, potentially I might replace these two with something a little bit more climate controlled. So we can park our tractors in that. The machine shop will be straight across from it. Okay, that should look beautiful. Okay, let's light this thing up. Oh, the door's shut. I guess we should fix that. So I think for the rest of today, I am going to be manoeuvring bales into our silage bunker and wrapping them. And we'll be back next week, probably with more of the same. And that is not moving because ground issues. No, it is. I live in Michigan, America. So we have Labour Day. We have actually visited Canada for a vacation once, one year, but I'm not sure that's going to happen anytime soon because of all of the travel restrictions and crap that's going on around the world. Anyway, that's all positioned nice. So, yes, we have. How many bales did we end up making? Didn't check that. 30. So 29 silage bales we're going to end up with. We can transport 24, so that'll be 5 will go in the cows next month. We will have field, let's go back there, field 52 will be ready to harvest. We're not doing anything with 55 now. The store sales, we just have the Vario 900, which not now. 5 years time when I'm looking for a 5th tractor, that would be a great tractor to come up, but no. Trucks. Haven't got any trucks loaded. That's interesting. Miscellaneous, yeah, not a thing for us. Cars. I've got the Land Rover Defender 90. We might upgrade to that eventually, but for right now we're sticking with our pickup because we only really use it for a runabout. Loaders, mowers, slurry tanks, crop. Yeah, nothing there. I thought I had an animals truck, but yeah, obviously not. Oh, animals, there we go. Yes, 160,000. I have a truck that will transport milk and a load of other stuff, but primarily milk. So I'm kind of thinking of buying that before not too much longer. What's its 24,000 litre capacity? We can start moving milk. So that's something I did add and I'm considering making use of. But I have a British accent. Indeed, I have a British accent. It took me years of practice. Okay, so for now, I think the sun is rising. It is coming up to 9 o'clock in the morning on the farm. And I need to go and eat. So I will wish you all a good Labour Day weekend, what remains of it. Have a good week. We will be back next week on Saturday, quite possibly with some more grass work, unless I can make some time this week to get it done, in which case we'll be moving through the winter. We have some crops that need sold. December, November. So we may be selling, good grief. That's all the straw in storage at the cowshed. Yeah, we'll be looking at probably selling some of our grains, moving into the spring and preparing our grass fields because they're going to need to be reseeded and improved somewhat. May buy some equipment, may not buy some equipment, but we'll see where we go. But for right now, I'm hungry, so I'm out of here. Have fun, everybody.